Hi, Jean. Welcome to
Hi,
my
Dr.
podcast.
Deb. Hi, Dr. Deb.
It's so good to see you. So for people who are watching this, you and I don't usually see each other because we just talk on the phone.
No, and I love seeing you.
And I love seeing you too. And I loved coaching you.
Thank you.
And today, what I want to do is to be able to help other people by helping you share your experience with coaching with me so that maybe there's somebody out there who is thinking about it or is hesitating about it. And I think when they hear somebody else talk, because let's let everybody know right now, are you being paid to do this?
No.
Okay. Is there a gun in your back making you say the words that you say?
No, but I'm thrilled to be able to do this because like many of your other, if you would, people that you've helped or coached, you want to share what's happened because to me it's just unbelievable.
Okay, well, let's just start with why is it unbelievable?
Because I am 62 years old and I can't believe that all these years, and I'm an intelligent person, I'm a therapist, I deal in this world, that I haven't been able to really get what I needed to get in order to be healthier. And the fact that you've coached me is just, I'm speechless about what I've learned because it's life-changing for me.
Okay, well, we can't be speechless today. We're going to have to
I could talk forever about it.
Okay, so one of the things that I remember that I'll just start with is that
Sure.
I got a letter from you. I think you had signed up for a mini session.
Yes.
And then canceled it.
I did.
Okay.
And I can't remember why.
Okay. And then I got a letter from you saying that you had canceled the mini session, but now you've really been thinking about it and you just know that you need to do this, something like to that.
Yes.
And then you said at the end of the letter, and this is what I will never forget, is you said, my mother once told me that there will be a way to be able to do this.
Right. Should I get my crying over with right away or later?
You can just start crying right away. Let's just start the crying going. Okay. Like we'll all cry together. We'll have a cry fest.
Right. Right.
That was the way that you ended the letter, is that you felt that if you could coach with me,
right,
that it would be the way. And it was what your mother had always thought, that there has to be a way to handle this weight thing other than what's out there. So she must have had maybe the same kind of a problem.
She did. And she ended up being very healthy, but she's been gone for a while, but she was very healthy. And the key for everyone is very different. And, again, as all your clients are intelligent women, I believe, I couldn't fathom that I couldn't do this for myself. Mm-hmm. And I knew after listening to your podcast for months and months and months, I'm like, oh my God, this woman gets it. Dr. Deb knows what she's talking about. I mean, I had never in all my years heard anyone that was so on target with the concepts that you talked about as you. It was funny. It was so exciting for me. And then to be honest with you, I mean, I must have listened to it for months, 6 months. I can't remember how long, 4 to 6 months at least, probably 6, mm-hmm. to your podcast. And I was still kind of not doing it for myself. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I needed support. And as we had talked, come to a point in my life where I felt I deserved it.
I think that's what inspired your letter.
Right. I mean, I deserved a lot of things going on in my life, but mm-hmm. at this time of my life, mm-hmm. I deserved to be, and my big word was content about this issue. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is the weight, but the heaviness of struggling with this is so horrific and gut-wrenching and sad and hard. And, but for you to be able to kind of break through that for me and with me, life-changing. And I'm so grateful and so thankful. for you. And I just want to say that. I know you always poo-poo it and say, but you did the work. Yeah, I did. But you had the expertise to do what you do. And I'm forever grateful.
Well, thank you very much. Sometimes you just have to say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So your mother was right?
Yes, she was. She's up there in heaven, looking down, saying, "Oh,
yay, you found it!" And the interesting thing is then that you knew before you got on the phone with me that you were now going to do this.
Oh yeah,
right.
I knew it because I listened to your podcast, and I knew that you knew how to do it that would work for me. And to be honest with you,
be honest. Don't start lying now.
Well, for the world. I mean, that's why I'm doing this podcast, is honestly, for any woman who wants to do this, you have the concepts to make it happen. All of us are unique and our struggles are unique, but you've got the concepts, and that's why it works. And yes, I've been a Weight Watchers person, done some different things, but I've been pretty much overweight since age 12.
Me too.
And I've been, overweight my adult life. I didn't, at certain times maybe lost 20, 30 pounds, but I've been pretty much overweight. I wasn't so much, lose, come back. I've just been overweight. Mm-hmm. So you showed me the way. And, yeah.
Right, because it's really not as much about the weight, and yet it's about the weight.
Right. The weight is an indicator, as you say, when I get on the scale and I'm sad because maybe I haven't lost or I've gone up a pound or two, to be compassionate and see that and use it as a tool to look at what I'm doing. And yeah, it is the emotional thing and my relationship with food and my relationship with myself and the whole, what is my role in this world, is how I relate to people. And that was, as you know, my big issue.
Yes, that was your big issue. And we want to talk about your big issue a little bit, because everybody, when they start working with me, they think their big issue is something with them and food.
Yeah.
Right. And the number on the scale. And probably so many of our sessions, I remember when we started talking about alcohol. And immediately the thing about alcohol for you was that it's not so much that you really wanted to drink it. It's just so much that you were afraid what other people would think if you didn't drink it. Right? Which is like, to me, it's like, what a coaching moment for you to be able to see that so clearly, that the only reason you're putting something in your body is because you think it's going to make somebody else think something about you.
Yeah. Yeah, you gave me, I think, a simple way for your listeners to understand that breakthrough for me.
Yeah.
Which for me, and my goal to be content with myself, was to accept the fact that you, through working with me, gave me a green light, permission to take care of myself. And that means, and I'm not a big drinker. We have alcoholism in my family, so it definitely is an issue that I'm keenly aware of. But you gave me a green light to do what I wanted to do, which is in many cases not to drink. Because when I drank, I didn't really generally overdrink, 1 or 2, the most of 3 socially. But it really put a kibosh in my eating and just how I related to people. But it was the permission from you. Those are the simple things of this whole process.
Wait. So go back to, what about the permission? I mean, because I want to coach you a little bit on that.
Yeah, well, you gave me the permission to say, Jean, do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. It would be amazing. You would say, you really don't want to drink. I'm like, oh, crazy, I don't. Could you imagine that?
That's because you were being coached. Right? Because when you live in your head, for all of those those of us that are listening, we have our heads telling us, well, of course I want to drink, and I want to drink just like everybody else drinks, and what would they think if I didn't? And you think all this stuff that's going on is just true. And all I did from a coaching perspective was ask you, well, do you really want to drink? And you said, well, no. And I'm going like, well, if you don't, I mean, like, I didn't even have to coach you on, yes, I really want to drink and I love the feeling and how am I going to give it up? It was just, no, I really don't even want to drink.
I know, but you even asking, that was hard for me to admit to myself. That no, I really don't.
I know.
But you asked such a simple question.
And you gave me such a simple answer. And from there, so much stuff came up about eating and drinking and pleasing other people.
Yep.
Right? That so much of what has happened in your life has been about what other people think of you, like going through other people to decide how you are. Right? Well, they look happy, so I think that should make me happy. Okay, I had a couple drinks. They look like they like that I'm drinking.
Yeah.
And I'm part of the group. And that's a really good thing. Can you imagine if I didn't drink, what they would be thinking?
Right. Right.
Do you remember us talking about that? And I'm saying, like, what do you think they're going to be thinking?
Right. And I do have friends. I mean, I admit that if I'm not drinking along with, they'll ask, what do you got in there? Oh, for God's sakes.
Right. You know? And so what if somebody says, why aren't you drinking, or what do you have in there? What is the problem with that?
That was the big jump for me, is to be okay with, maybe they're not okay with it. That's okay. Huh? That was huge to me, whether it's eating or drinking.
That's right. And I think the biggest thing for you, and you can tell me where I'm wrong, is that from the people pleasing, it really came down to really deciding that you are important and that you are a priority in your own life, more so than your husband and your children, that it's you first, not them first. And then if you have time for you.
Yeah, that was huge. That was huge to me. Because I grew up thinking, and, you know, in my own mind, in addition to, I would say, you know, spiritually and otherwise, that, you know, you think of others first. And that molded me. And, you know, this is not to be about being a self-centered, whatever.
Well, actually, that's what you thought it was in the beginning, is you thought, like, oh my gosh, if I put myself first, then I'm going to be one. We did a whole coaching session on self-centeredness and women out there who are self-centered and be itches, right? I mean, like, it's like that's what was kind of running around in your head, and you didn't want to be one of them.
Right. Right.
But it was just your judgment on yourself, and then you put it on them.
Yes. Which was so unhealthy for me.
But you didn't know it.
Right. And I like it when you say that. I didn't know it. I didn't know it. I really didn't know it.
You really didn't know it. You really believed you were doing the right thing. That's what's most important. That's why there can't be any resentment or anything about why you didn't do what you did. You didn't do it because you didn't know.
Right. You would say to me, I would get really sad and angry, a little bit angry. Why didn't I see that? And you would say, you did the best of where I was at.
You did do the best, and you believed that you were doing the best. You could see that you were.
But I knew there was something not right, unhealthy thinking on my part.
Yeah, but you believed what you were thinking. So until somebody can go in your head and say, are you sure that what other people think of you is more important than you, and really put it in front of you, you really couldn't see it.
Right, for sure.
Right, that's the beauty of coaching, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, right. Therein lies why I knew I needed to do it. I wasn't breaking through it myself. I knew that.
And so what encouraged you? Because you were all in until you heard the price. If you remember that.
Yeah.
And you were all in. This happens a lot, so I'm kind of used to it.
Sure.
When the price comes in, it's like all of a sudden you're not all in. All of a sudden, it's like, well. So what I want to know, because we talked about it a little bit, and then within maybe 10 minutes, I got an email from you saying, "I'm in. I'm doing it." So how did you reconcile spending that kind of money on yourself and going from that moment of maybe I can't spend that money on myself to the moment I have to spend that money on myself?
Right. Well, I have to say, I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew when I called you. First of all, I knew it was going to work. I didn't know how, but I knew it was going to. work, number one.
Which is why it worked. I just want everybody to see that when you believe that something is going to work, there's a pretty good chance it's going to work.
Right. Secondly, with regard to the money, and that gets into your whole self-worth conversation, I knew I needed to do this because I have a choice. I could not do it and continue on my life, stop, or I could say, I need to do this for myself. And I have to tell you, part of it is I have a very loving husband who, of course, he was like, yes, do it. And, yes. But we, financially we struggle like everyone else to a certain degree.
It's a thought. You have a thought that financially we struggle, right? That's right. Part of your coaching. We've done a lot of coaching on that too. A lot of coaching on money and during our coaching sessions.
Yep.
Right?
Yes. But, what is the saying? You pay now or you pay later? I mean, if I continue to go on the way it was going, not only physically, health-wise, but emotionally, I was going to struggle. So as you've said, I'm worth it. I am worth it. We are all worth it.
Well, actually, you said it.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, I can tell you you're worth it.
Right. No. Right.
But you believed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You believed that you were worth it. And even though, because a lot of people like to tell me, I'm going to talk to my husband and get his response.
Sure.
But in the end, it really comes down to what is in your head and heart, regardless of what husbands say. Right. And so it's like, I think it's lovely that he was supportive like that.
Yes.
But that shouldn't be the qualifying. I don't really think it was, but I think you think a little bit it was. But because I think what happened, this is my guess. And I think this is what happens with people if they say this, because usually people who say they have to talk to their husbands usually don't do it. It's their way of not doing it. So, but with you, that's why I was so happy. I got an email with you within 5 minutes. I go, God, she's got it. But
I knew he would say it.
But it wasn't, I know, but it wasn't your husband. What it was is you probably got off the phone and told him in your most heartfelt way what you told me, which is how important this is to you and why you need to do it. There's no way he could say no.
Right. I did. I told him I know this is going. What did you say, Deb?
You were already convinced.
That's exactly right. I knew by listening, I knew it was going to work. I knew this was it.
And it has proven to be it, hasn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So tell me where you are now. You feel really content. Like that was your compelling reason for doing the work, right? Is that you wanted to create a feeling of contentment in your life, not just around food.
Right.
But just to be able to create the feeling of contentment is what compelled you to do all of this work.
Yes.
So are you content now?
Yes, because as a foundation for myself, it's empowered me to see that I have the ability to make choices on a lot of things. As you have said, it isn't just about the food. It's about how I relate to everyone in my life, my husband, my children, my work. Wow, I can think differently and make different decisions that haven't always been so healthy for me. Wow, I do have a choice. And that takes a ton of work and energy and priority, but it is doable.
And you did do a ton of work, right? I mean, you put a lot of effort into this. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes. And I would like to say that too. It does take time, emotional. I don't mean a lot of time, but for any one of us, see, that was another misconception I had.
What's that?
I think prior to working with you is that the amount of energy and time and priority it takes to take care of ourselves. And that's part of, this is what I need to do for me. I guess I didn't get that before. Yeah. What a concept.
Right. And I just don't think you were taught it.
Right.
You were doing what you were taught. We're all kind of doing what we're taught. It's like, oh yeah, we have a family, we have this, we have that, we have so many things that we have to take care of that need to be taken care of before us. And it's so funny because people don't come to me to say, please help me make myself a priority and think I'm important again. People come to me to say, can you help me lose weight?
Yeah.
Right. But the weight really, as you can see from the coaching, you came to me to lose weight, but you knew it was a much bigger picture than that, right?
Yes.
And you can see like so much of our coaching had nothing to do what you were putting in your mouth.
Right. Right. The power that navigated it was all about what I thought of myself and what my role was in the world and how I related to myself and others.
Amazing. So one more thing I want to cover before we end is that you had maybe 3 or 4 weeks where the scale wasn't doing much.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about that a little bit and how you ended up, because I coached you probably for 3 to 4 weeks on your frustration about the number not moving. And I think that you could share a little bit about that because, sometimes the number doesn't move.
Right. And then you go back to I went back to unhealthy thinking, oh my God, this is not going to work. I failed. Now, granted, I've been working with you for over 4 months, I think, at that point. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, see, it's not going to work. No, you said, use that as a tool to be compassionate to yourself and say, what am I doing? And that's when the whole journaling and looking at specifically what I'm doing, which I continue to do.
I hope so.
Yeah, right. Because that's the only way to see what do I need to tweak here. And that is, I love the thing when you always say, be kind to yourself and be compassionate. It's taking the time to look at that and say, okay, what's going on here? And yes, emotionally, what was going on there with me? And why was I coming home from work and snidging in my old ways, which were unhealthy? So you help me go back and see that. Oh, okay, what do I need to do? And why am I doing that emotionally? And what is going on? And why am I falling back to feeding my tiredness or anxiety or and how can I feed that differently without eating?
Right. And so those 3 to 4 weeks, tell me where I'm wrong, were probably in many ways life-changing for how you want to look at things. Going through that and coming out the other end without giving up. Because I think what happens to a lot of us when the scale doesn't do what we wanted to do, then we just decide it's not working and we give up. And you had a little bit of that going in on those few weeks, is that you were actually helping the scale stay the same by what you were doing that you weren't looking at because you were so frustrated about the number.
Right.
And once we could open you up to say, well, what are you doing? What's going on? That's when you started realizing.
Right. And that's the key. That's the tool you've given me, is to take the time to investigate what is going on.
I love that.
Therein lies the issue. Instead of, oh my God, it's over, not happening. No, take the time. It really is about specifically looking at emotionally and physically, the Hunter scale, the emotional scale. What am I doing to say, what is not working here? And that's
without making it mean something wrong with you.
Yes.
Right? It took about 3 to 4 weeks to separate that.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt.
And it happens to so many people. I mean, just think about this, Jean, in your past. And I don't like to take you back in your past too much, but I used to let the scale derail me.
Oh.
I would just go, okay, this isn't working. And I would just derail for a year or two.
Yeah.
And not realize that it was just that I didn't like what was going on and I just forgo the whole thing.
Right.
And you figured it out in 3 to 4 weeks.
Well, that's the unhealthy pattern that we do ourselves.
That's right. And because you did it while you were working with me, you learned something incredible about this process and yourself that will last you for the rest of your life. Tell me where I'm wrong.
No, exactly. And that's the being kind to ourselves. instead of beating up and saying, I used to have this poster, snap out of it.
Yeah.
Hello, you can't snap out of it. Take the time, respect the fact that you're having an issue. I was stagnant for 3 or 4 weeks. Respect that. Take the time to look at that and really look at it. And that's the work of journaling.
That's right.
The tool of journaling to say, where am I going wrong? Not only just like how much food am I putting in my mouth, what's happening emotionally that I'm not taking the time for myself.
And there were a lot of things going on, actually, is what we really found out. And that you were really feeding frustration and tiredness where you were not doing that before. That's really what we learned. And then you started taking care of that and stopped putting food in your mouth. What'd you call it? Smidgens?
Smidgens, yeah. I'm having little smidgens.
Smidgens, yeah. Smidgens that were adding to problems, but smidgens. But you were finally able to look at it, look at the emotions that were causing it, and then you started to fix it.
Right. And that is respecting the tools that you gave me and respecting myself enough to take the time to do that.
That's right.
We can't just keep rushing through for work or our family or whatever other things. We have to take the time to look at what we're doing to ourselves.
So let me ask you one more thing before we get off. I keep saying one more thing, but just one more thing.
Sure. I could talk forever.
I know, both of us could. But here's what I want to ask you. For those listeners who are out there who are just like you, because you probably, were you inspired by clients that I had on that I had interviewed?
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So what would you say to the people who are listening now? What would you say to them about your experience in this coaching program? And how would you help them take that next step?
Yeah. I would say, especially at this time of our life, and we're all a little bit different on the age, we deserve it. You deserve it. Listener, you deserve to take care of yourself. And obviously, you've been going along and there's some block. And that block is not because you're not intelligent. You need support. Just as if we had a physical problem, we go to a doctor. You need to get support. And you, Deb, Dr. Deb, are fabulous at that, of taking the time to identify what the blocks are. And I couldn't have done it on my own without that support. So should you do it? Should you just I don't know, get on with it. I love it sometimes when you would say, you didn't say it this way, but get over yourself. Figure it out. Why are you not taking care of yourself? Sweetheart, you would say, which is, you're so compassionate. And the facts are so simple. Your tools are so simple, yet so powerful. So powerful that I couldn't have done without your support. And to everyone out there, we deserve it, because when we're healthier, we can help other people be healthier.
I love that. I love that. And would you say that this was a life-changing experience for you?
Without a doubt. And that's why I knew I needed to do it. Because did I want to continue on, the next chapter of my life? No, I didn't. And I wasn't able to do it on my own. I needed help, and I knew that you would do it because of listening for 4 to 6 months and the concepts and the tools and just how you are.
Yeah. We could keep talking, but I think this is a really good place to stop.
All right, Dr. Deb.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your experience. And
Thank you.
Loved every minute of working with you.
It's been an honor to work with you, and I am the one who really reaped the benefits for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
Okay.
Bye-bye.